are speaking to unions, we're speaking to political formations as well, represented in Parliament and outside Parliament. It has not been an easy process, and we're still going to meetings. We are working on a strategy on how best can we remove Zuma as a president, because what Zuma did last night, it is not in the best interest of the country. He has disrupted this country for quite some time now, and we now have to put aside our political differences and ensure that there is unity of purpose to rescue this country. Zuma has captured treasury, and by Zuma capturing treasury, it means the Guptas have captured treasury. He has achieved what he wanted to achieve with Des Van Rooyen. The only mistake he did, and he could have achieved the same thing even at the time, he appointed a person who was not known to social media fanatics. So the social media fanatics are now happy that someone they know appointed, and because they know him, then it's fine. They don't care whether this person is corrupt or not. Malusi is corrupt to the core. We know that there were serious allegations against Malusi for having that foreign account, offshore account, and he has never done anything to prove that he doesn't have offshore account. We know that from his personal life, we're told of huge amounts of money that he exchanged with his friends. Why would a minister go around carrying such amounts of money in cash and exchange them? An allegation he has never defied or denied, rather. You can only carry cash if it's corrupt money that comes from the Guptas. And we have also proven that Malusi is a regular at Saxon Shebin, because he himself has never denied that he's a regular at Saxon Shebin. So you have just took treasury and went to place it at the gate of Saxon Shebin. And because it's someone you know, you don't have a problem with that. I even saw one person saying Malusi is not corruptible. And I'm like, maybe they're talking about a different person. Malusi lives beyond his means. His lifestyle just gives it away, that he's got an extra income. Malusi is one of the people who Minister Naledi Pando is talking about, that you've got ministers and NEC colleagues of hers who own expensive houses and all that. So we know that there's also a strong allegation of Malusi not staying in a state house in Cape Town and staying in a house bought for him by the Guptas. So it's done. The country has been captured. And Zuma has done that without the ANC's help, at least this time around. Because ANC was also a willing participant in the past without taking him Zuma on some of those shenanigans. We consulted the lawyers. You will know we've filed for impeachment. We've consulted the lawyers on the vote of no confidence. And the lawyers have successfully advised that if we want to pass a motion of no confidence, ANC members should not abstain. They have to vote with us. Because the Constitution says you need at least majority of members. It doesn't say you need majority of members present. It says you need a majority of members. So Parliament has got 400 members. For it to succeed, we have to have a positive of 201. So the thing that was saying we need 70 to abstain, it will not work. And that's why all these types of meetings we've been having to try and identify such individuals. We still need 70 from the ANC to vote with us, with a hope that the whole opposition will vote together. We are still going to meet other political formations. We know Godi will not vote with us. We doubt if the NFP will vote with us. But the AIC, the IFP, given the previous experiences, we are guaranteed that they will, vote with us. So it's too much work. It's a work that we're going to have to meet 70 individuals one by one, speak to them. Even if ANC people say they are speaking to them, once they say they've spoken to so-and-so, we have to go and speak to that so-and-so ourselves and satisfy ourselves. South Africa is not a waste of time to try this motion of no confidence. We have to try everything. We are in crisis. We are trying everything to rescue this country. It doesn't matter how many times we'll bring it. We are bringing it for the first time. Parliament is in recess. We've written a letter to the Speaker to convene a special sitting. We believe it is well within our rights to ask for a special sitting because there are urgent matters that Parliament must be seized with. And if she's not going to agree, we're going to take her to court on urgent basis for the court to compel her to call an urgent sitting. So she has got no option but to agree. The Communist Party leadership will have to come to the party. We need a lot of their members in that parliament. It's not about Blade. We know they were going to withdraw if Blade was fired. That goes without saying. Now, Zuma has listened to the Communist Party. He didn't listen to them on finance, but he listened to them on everything, almost everything. This is what Communist Party wanted from Zuma. They said to Zuma, if you remove Pravin and Mcebisi, don't bring Brian anywhere close to that department. Zuma listened to that and he didn't bring Brian. They said to Zuma, Ben Martins is the most senior member of the party. He has been in parliament since 1994. They don't understand why Ben Martins is not in cabinet. Zuma put Ben Martins in cabinet. Zuma did not touch Communist Party people. The only party Zuma didn't listen to is the ANC. Because the ANC said to him, if you fire Pravin and Mcebisi, you have to fire Nomvula, you have to fire Batabile, you have to fire Zwane, you have to fire Mutambi. That one of Mutambi, I don't even understand why Zuma didn't just listen to at least that one. The ANC gave him a list of the people who must be fired. He didn't listen to anything of that sort. The ANC still told him that he must not appoint Brian. At least he listened to that. But the rest of that, he didn't listen to. But it happened like that because of factional battles. Remember, treasury is what they want for Guptas. But for Zuma's winning in 2017, he can't fire those people because Gwede as well identified those people for factional reasons as well. You must remove them from resources so that they don't have the resources to influence. Remember, the ANC lineups, they survive through patronage. So you must remove these ones. Once Zuma makes a mistake of removing those ones, he has removed his forces, and therefore they will not win 2017. So Zuma saw it that this is a factional demand to weaken my faction before the December conference. He didn't listen to them. He removed those people who didn't have constituencies. He didn't remove people of another faction. He removed people without constituency. So there is no region which can even match for Tina Jumat. There is no region that can match for Ngwagora Matlodi Shem. So he knows there's nothing they can do. So or Dipuo. He didn't remove them for factional because they belong to Ramaphosa. No. He removed them because they are weak. They don't have constituency. Then replaced them with his faction. And then strengthened his faction before 2017. So I can tell you now, if Zuma is not removed, Ramaphosa must go back to farming and look after his buffaloes and all those things. There's no winning of that conference. Zuma calculated the conference, consolidated, and then attacked. And he said, okay, if I touch the Communist Party, those people are going to resign en masse, and then it's going to embarrass me. Let me leave them. Why did he leave them? He knows that they don't use their brains to think, but they use their stomach. So once they are in, they are done. I mean, go and look at Soli's press conference. You know, South African media, we must be like Americans sometimes, not in everything. American media is very good. They will be showing us Soli yesterday and Soli today. The body language. The body language has changed completely. SABC interviewed him this morning. So you see a completely different person. From the fire eater he was yesterday to the most understanding man. Yeah, well, we can still consider that of withdrawing, and you know, we wish Pravin well. Why? Because blade is not touched. You touch blade, that's the end of you. If it's not about blade and the stomach of those people of the Communist Party, let the yesterday's radicalism and militancy continue. Let's see it. If indeed it's about anti-corruption, if indeed it's about the Guptas, if indeed it's about ensuring that we've got a treasury that is not captured by corrupt family, then they've got a reason to continue with the plans they had. They've got no reason to retreat. You know, when Cyril spoke today, I even forgot for a second that this is the man responsible for Marikana. I almost jumped like, hey, for the first time you are a deputy president, you are speaking some sense, man. For the first time. We encourage him to grow like that. He must speak more often against this kleptocracy. If Cyril wants to be president of the ANC and the country, he must not take Kgalema's tactics. You know, Kgalema, we only knew he was standing even when we were supporting him. We only knew he was standing when he accepted nomination. When Kgalema accepted nomination, we jumped and celebrated like he won. But that's how we were so unsure about him. Why did Zuma win? Zuma just openly told everyone, I'm prepared to fight Thabo. And people knew we can rely on this one. We're not going to bet on a horse that is going to turn against us at the conference. And then we are left in the darkness. He throws us under the bus. No. The people who supported Kgalema, at least those I know, the ones I know from Limpopo, today they don't support Cyril, they support Zuma. Because when you ask them, they are like, hey, we don't want to commit a similar mistake. Because we are not sure whether this man is in or out. He has to fight. And as for people who are begging him, he has to fight for them. So I was happy that he took a stand. And I know he was inspired by Uncle Kathy. So we hope that Uncle Kathy's spirit can inspire a lot more people to speak out and begin a process of removing the president. So we are calling this press conference to say we're rejecting this, we don't agree with it, and to put our position very clear, and that we're going to do everything in our power to fight President Zuma. And that doesn't rule out the possibilities of going to the streets. Before you go to the streets, you don't have to act emotional. You have to consult your forces on the ground and whether they are prepared to take up this as their battle. So if we get a mandate, we'll be on the streets. We support Vavi. What he's doing there, it's a good thing. It's not always about numbers. People have to stand up at some point. And Vavi has stood up. We support Save SA. They must continue to do us proud. And we hope many, many other people will join them in the picket there to raise our dissatisfaction. And if we all bring our numbers together, I think somewhere, somehow, they will listen. Thank you.
Thank you. Hadra, Maverick, eNCA, SABC, News 24. Let's start with News 24.
All right, thank you so much. You're speaking about Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa. You're saying that it was really impressive what he did. But you know, some people have criticized him for not going all the way because in the same breath, he said he wouldn't resign. And some people say, if you're really unhappy about what happened yesterday, you should actually step down as President. And then
we need them to come and fight in Parliament from an executive point of view. It carries more weight like that. Let's say we succeed in persuading all of them, including the Deputy President, and they come and vote in favor of the motion of no confidence against President Zuma. And the ANC says it's going to discipline them. Can you really imagine that? it won't work. I mean, you have to discipline ministers, deputy president, and all of that. So, and to disagree with Zuma from that platform is also more interesting. It makes it more powerful, and the message becomes more powerful when it comes from a deputy. He's not disgruntled. He's sitting there. He still has got all the benefits, and he says, I'm not happy. But if he resigns and speaks from outside, some cunt is going to say, he's talking now because he's no longer a deputy president. No, he must talk from there. And that's what, more than Cyril, because Cyril has got his own problems. I was excited by the fact that deputy president of the country is disagreeing with the president in public. That's what. But if he's going to speak there as Cyril, I won't even listen to those things, because he's got his own problems. So the deputy president, sitting deputy president, disagrees with the sitting president. It makes it more interesting, and it has got a potential to galvanize a lot of South Africans, because he doesn't speak from a disgruntled, a so-called disgruntled position. We have not spoken to anyone in the top 6 of the ANC, and we don't intend to do so, because the people in the top 6 of the ANC are disingenuous. They're not honest. You know, Gwede sounded very angry and all that. You know, Gwede can call a press conference and say something completely different from what he said in the morning. Completely, because Gwede is a coward. Gwede is a coward. This thing is escaping my mind. I remember Gwede speaking strongly at some point, saying, I would remember it. And then later on, he called a press conference to contradict himself. So to speak to Gwede, it's a waste of time. And I think Batabile's Molanyana skeleton has got something to do with Gwede. Because 2 minutes, it sounds very radical. 2 minutes, well, the president has got a prerogative and all that. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens if Gwede, okay, give Gwede until Monday, because Monday they are going to that NWC. Let's give him until Monday. And then press conference on Tuesday. Gwede is going to say something different, I tell you now. Yeah. He's going to say something different. He's an unreliable force. Well, JC is captured. Okay? JC is Gupta through and through. And she will speak in favor of the Guptas. But I'm happy that they speak past each other now. That's a confirmation of a dead organization. The center is not holding. When we say the ANC is dead, we mean exactly that. Exactly what Gwede said at the funeral of Uncle Kathy to President Mbeki, that there is no longer Mkombandlela. There is no longer a line of march. Because in this confusion, in the past, the ANC Secretary General, that will be Kgalema Motlanthe, will then call a press conference and put a line, and then that's it. All of us will follow that line. Today, that will not happen. That's why Gwede can speak. JC comes to contradict him, and all the why? Everyone is doing his or her own thing. It's finished. There's no longer party left. But the voters of the ANC in 2014 and in 2016, for sure you are proud of the mess you have caused this country, even when we told you that you are destroying South Africa. Because sometimes we just blame politicians, and politicians, we forget voters that they too have a responsibility to rescue the country. The ANC voters must be very proud today of the mess we find ourselves in, because they put us in this mess. We have to remind them, because they too always remind us that we supported Zuma first term. So they must be reminded as well that you also voted for him. And even when we who supported him in the first term told you, hey, this animal is not the one we thought it was. It is a different animal altogether. Well, we are still talking to the opposition. I said we started this morning. We cannot say we've got all of the opposition, because once that is done, Then a press conference will be convened with all parties to communicate a day of action. But I can tell you, I will never march to Lituli House. Lituli House owes me nothing. I don't expect anything from Lituli House. So why would I go and get something from them when I don't expect anything from them? I can march to the government, it's my government. I expect something from my government. But not Lituli House. I don't expect anything from Lituli House. The mess that is coming out of Lituli House is what I'm expecting. So why would I go to a mess even when I see it? I'm not going to any Lituli House. But if I'm told, hey, Muna, come, we're marching to Treasury, let's occupy Treasury, let's occupy Union Building, those are the ideas we will be prepared to entertain. But the marching to Lituli House, we reject it outrightly. Because tomorrow Mashaba makes a xenophobic statement, and then I must march to DA offices because I disagree with the mayor. They are creating an unsustainable precedence. It's not sustainable. They are the ones who are saying we must learn to separate the party and the state. We have a problem in the state. They are taking us to the party. So it's not a well thought of thing. It's provocative, and members of the ANC, they've got a right to defend their house. If anyone says we are marching to EFF, the EFF members will come here and defend it. And you can't blame them for defending. But if they go, if we say we are marching to Treasury, and they come and say they are defending Treasury, who are they? We all have a share in Treasury. It's our property. Well, you know, the way we've been so engaged, we don't even remember who went to who first. But it didn't start now. The business of removing Zuma, it has started a long time ago. We've been working, trying to find possible peaceful ways which will not lead into the destabilization of our country and all those type of things. We've been talking to a lot of them, including Zuma's supporters themselves. Actually, Zuma's supporters themselves have been saying to us, but leave, Chief, let's abandon this thing. This man is going anyway, even us, we don't want him. But he's going, you know. Let's allow time to resolve it for us and all that. Cyril as president, joining forces with Cyril. We don't have any forces with Cyril. And we'll never forgive Cyril for what he did in Marikana. Especially if he has not even apologized. Not those artificial apologies, man. The ones that are written by spin doctors, regret, undesirable. We want sorry. I am very sorry. It was a miscalculation. Maybe in African tradition, when someone says sorry, we may be willing to talk to him and say, okay, to what extent are you sorry? Let's hear you. What are you going to do to demonstrate your sorriness on all that? But the fact that he can't bring those human beings back, Cyril's issue is a difficult one. It's Marikana, and it's his love for white people. He loves everything white. I'm telling you, if Cyril is the president, he's going to fire those people there in what is that thing, Union Building, and hire only white staff. We're not saying he must hate white people, but his uncontrollable love for them is scary. It's a scary thing. And it's understandable because he was made by them. He owes his being and his existence to them. They gave him money to form NUM. They gave him money to move around and do all sorts of things and lead. He knows it was white people who negotiated with Mandela that he must be the deputy president at the time. The Oppenheimers in particular. I'm not saying we must not hire white people. I know I'm going to be attacked for saying that, but We work with white people, and for sure you understand what I mean when I say he loves white people. We're in a process of empowerment of black people. And we can't support a person who's just going to go in and reverse all of that. He did the same when he went into Little House, by the way. Went there and said to the person who was helping Malema there, he started saying, no, that person is giving reports to Malema. Develop some conspiracy so that he can fire that person and hire his favorites.
Why you think ANC can work with you on the motion of no confidence?
We're not working with the ANC. We're working with individual members of the ANC. So to say, why do you think the ANC can work with you? We're not working with ANC. We're working with individual members of ANC who are members of parliament. And we're reminding them a simple thing which they've forgotten, which is they've taken the oath to protect the Constitution of South Africa and the Republic itself. When they became members of parliament, they didn't take an oath of the ANC. They took the oath prescribed by the Constitution of this country. And that's what they have to be loyal to, and not the party, particularly when we execute the parliament duties. So we're not asking them to remove Zuma as president of the ANC. We're asking them to remove him as president of the country because they took an oath that said they will protect the country. They must protect the country. They must live up to the expectation of that oath. Because failure to do that, they too are violating their oath of office. And we don't think it's a wise thing to do. So we're trying to speak to their conscience and to remind them as individuals that we have taken an oath. So it's not an ANC talk. It's an individual talk amongst fellow members of parliament. We do that all the time on bills, on appointment of board members. I mean, we nominated Matata Tsedu. We came with Matata Tsedu's name, and then we went to the ANC, and we persuaded them. And the ANC people say, okay, we agree, but don't raise it, because if it comes from you, they will think that we're succumbing to you. And then we left it, and then they raised it. And then now they have to get Matata Tsedu's CV. They don't know where to get it. They have to come back to the originator of that name to go and look for Matata. So we do that from time to time. Even that guy of the DA in the board, in the interim board.
John Mattison.
Yeah, he's a DA nominee. It's not an ANC person. ANC people there is that Phoebe and Chris Naidu. Naidu is even the lawyer of the disciplinary committee of the ANC. Phoebe is she was a chief of staff of Nkosazana at Ethiopia. And the ANC, also those two people of theirs, they had to share them in terms of factions. So Phoebe is Nkosazana, and then Naidu is Cyril. Those are interesting times.
We're going to take the last round. It's been a long day. 1, behind City Press. Then 2 City Press. 3, 4. Any new hand? Matsiso is biting more than...
Just one last quick thing.
Okay, you start.
Thank you. Everyone's saying it's a difficult time for the country, but strategy-wise, you said you've been dealing with the Jacob Zuma issue for a while. Is it an exciting time, strategy-wise, where you are? It looks like you're at a point of no return.
But I get from Jack around it. Just to, in the ideal world where you want to be speaking to the opposition guys today as well, where you want Zuma out. Say you manage to go get this vote of no confidence, whatever the circumstances, and he's moved out of that position. What would be your ideal situation after that? What happens to the ministers that are supposed to be sworn in today? How do you go further than that? And also, do you support the DA? They filed the papers just now, I think, that interdict to stop them from swearing in the ministers today. I mean, I don't know how possible it is, but they're doing it.
Yes, sir.
So as you ruled out the possibility of marching
Someone just asked me if you would be willing to marshal EFF forces to the Gupta compound in Sasol.
Senator Request, I've been covered by my government just to add that it is something that you looked at in terms of legal advice that you take now, given that the appointed ministers that are honorable members of parliament and not convicted criminals, so is there a legal basis for the EA application?
The last, to note in the debate box, President Jacob Zuma has been using rhetoric of radical economic transformation, citing things like wiping out the capital, and some of the supporters of these have been citing that he's in favor of the clean-cut constitution to allow for land acquisition without compensation. And a lot of certain factions of the youth of these are seeing this as actually being radical rhetoric. Is this concerning? Why shouldn't they be buying into this? And is this something that is using to alter the masses?
And then the last hand, right at the back.
Sure, it's Robert from NW. I just wanted to find out if the CIC has anyone who you think could lead the ANC, from within the ANC, who can't be said of all. And then if you have a comment on off topic on the historic Western Cape High Court judgment, which says
Which says what?
it says South Africans can now cultivate and possess marijuana for personal
Mr. President.
Well, the Western Cape judgment, we have not read the judgment. And we are, not going to risk getting into that matter like that. I think the EFF will have to release a statement on that. But it's
Then we'll have to recuse himself.
I think it's a historic. You're right. It's a very important decision they've made. But let's see what happens after.
What's your personal thought?
I agree with it. Yeah, I agree with it. I have a problem with a situation where, because someone has got a problem with it, then all of us must have a problem with it, even when there is no, scientific argument which is advanced to demonstrate the dangers caused by this. We have argued in the past, was it in the Youth League, that alcohol is actually more dangerous than the marijuana thing. Alcohol has caused a lot of death on the roads. Alcohol is at the center of domestic violences that we come to experience. But there's never been a call that says it must be banned, be illegal, all those type of things. And by the way, we will not agree if there's such a suggestion. Now, even though some of us are not the regular visitors of such things. I've never taken marijuana in my entire life. Yeah, I tell you now, you can test me anyhow you want.
Not me.
I actually,
No comment.
and the second thing is that I've never seen a drug with my naked eye. You see, these drugs that people are eating here in Joburg. I tell you now, you can put me on a lie detector. I've never seen a drug. The first time the drug almost visited me, it was when I came back from the church of TB Joshua. And I went to a friend's house. And there were people who were saying they are asking for money to go and buy drugs. And I was shocked. For the first time, a person asked even money to buy drugs. I was like, can you call them, let them come and tell me that? And when they were called, they said, no, the guy at the BP is waiting. We need this and that. Then I started a lecture. But it was a brief lecture that, do you know that if you buy those drugs there, and for whatever reason, police accompany you, and then they find you in this house with us, and that Malema found in possession of drugs. That story that you are the ones who are taking drugs won't hold. And after I said that, then they left, they understood, they went on to dance, and then the next second I looked for my car, and I disappeared because I realized I'm in the presence of wrong company. I've never done those things. You can test my blood. They are things that get used, by the way, to test if people have done those things. For casual reasons, we can one day when we're bored take News 24 and do it. And we get a test whether I've taken drugs or marijuana. I smoked cigarette briefly, and I left cigarette because the smell in the morning is not nice, and that's how I left it. And then alcohol, I left it almost last year. And then when I went to Polokwane in December, it was boring. And then I tried 1 or 2, and the following day I was sick. And I said, this thing is not helping. So every time you speak to me, you must know I'm sober. Yeah. I don't care who leads the ANC. Really, I'm not interested in that. But I always tell my friends that if you can't nominate Malema and you think you are rescuing the ANC, then you are like the rest of them. Because there's nothing rescuing ANC about Cyril, about Zuma. It's factional. You know, Nkosazana, we must stop calling her Nkosazana and call her by her same name. Yeah, Zuma. Yeah. So you have a option between Zuma and Cyril. So it's the same. And if you go on lobbying along those lines, then it's factional. But the unifier and a person who's sober, for them, is Malema. And journalists like asking me that question, right? And then I respond. When I respond, they say, why do you like talking about ANC? Heban. But you asked me a question, and I'm answering. I'm not going to keep quiet. There's no radical perspective which is going to come out of ANC conference. Policy documents are clear. It's business as usual. Those radical, what they are just used for campaigning internally. And they are used as identity for factional groupings. So you must know these are the radical ones and these are the capitalists. That's how they group themselves. It's for identity purposes, but there's nothing radical in that. Well, DA has got a right to approach the court. I think their argument is the rationality. They think it's irrational, or I didn't see the DA papers. But anyone executing responsibilities on behalf of the state, that person will have to make rational decision. And if we suspect they are not rational, then we can put them to test. And court is one of those platforms where we can test whether this decision is rational or not, including this prerogative nonsense that Zuma is always hiding behind. Let it be tested. It was his prerogative to appoint the Hawks guy.
The mess.
Yeah. All the time, those things are being tested there in court. So let them be tested. And the DA has got money, to play around. So even if we wanted to try testing rational or irrational, we do not have such money. We only go out of our way into the courts if we think we've tried everything else politically and it didn't work. Marshalling forces to Gupta compound is not one of the options. We didn't vote for Guptas. We voted for a government. And if that government allows itself to be captured by the Guptas, we march to that government. Or no, you must recuse yourself from these guys. So we'll not go to the Guptas as EFF official position, But anything is possible. You know these things. Yeah. It can be an EFF position to march to Guptas. But I'm just saying, don't rule out the possibility, because tomorrow you're going to see people there with a red beret. Malema said he will never come here. No. I'm saying EFF official position will never go to compound.
What will we do with ministers in case we win
waiting time.
What will be the processes? Well, if they pass a motion of no confidence, the requirement is that all ministers are gone. And then we wrote a letter to Parliament to ask Parliament, if we pass a motion of no confidence and the motion of no confidence is successful, what procedure do we follow after that? Can we elect the president immediately, or we'll have to wait for some time? So the Parliament lawyers will advise us. They have a duty to service us as well. They must tell us what is the procedure, and they must tell us in a written form. It's not Balaga's lawyers, it's not ANC's lawyers. They have a duty to advise every party in Parliament on what are the procedures if you want to do a certain thing. So we've asked for that procedure. We'll publish it as to what happens if we succeed to pass a motion of no confidence. Can we elect the president immediately? As to who that president will be, I don't know. The parties themselves are going to forward their candidates, and then Parliament will vote for president. These are exciting times. This is an exit point for Zuma. If all those who are in the ANC and in the opposition act in the best interest of this country, Zuma is gone. I tell you now. But like Hashra said, the man has survived difficult, situations. Even when you thought that was it, you just see him the following day emerging. But as he emerges, we also don't get tired as well, and we'll never get tired. We'll fight him to the end. That one, you must be guaranteed. If a motion of no confidence fails, impeachment won't fail. Some people were waffling and saying all sorts of things like, the Constitutional Court, this EFF thing, even before they read the EFF papers. After they read EFF papers, it looks like there is something here. It looks like the EFF will get something. The man has to be subjected to some form of process in Parliament. It can't be a ruling of the highest court like that, and then it's business as usual. Come on, man. Even that Constitutional Court, if it wants to render itself irrelevant, it must say to us, no, we can't entertain you. Then it means it agrees that their decisions have got no effect. They can be ignored like that. The decisions of the court cannot be ignored. They must be acted upon. So Zuma, impeachment is coming. Motion of no confidence is coming, Papa. If you survive it, impeachment is coming, Papa. If you survive it, 783 charges are coming. There's no break for the old man. We're on his case. We're on his case. And we'll continue feeding you what is happening in the ANC, because we've got our ears and our eyes in the ANC. So Gwede sees me there at Kathrada's funeral. He points a finger at me. He says, yeah, where are you? We are Ngomosha. We are Ngomosha. Hey, you know what, Gwede? That Rule 25 of your constitution doesn't apply to me anymore. I can say anything I want about you. You won't do anything. And half the time I tell the truth. You know that. I'm not lying about you. Half the time I tell the truth. Anyway, when you were sleeping and saying wrong ministers of finance, I gave you a minister of finance, and you kept on getting it wrong, all of you. I gave it to you like ding, and then News 24 says, go down and Mutwaledi, they are gone. Mutwaledi is not gone, and they still announce it even after Zuma announces official. You're like, hey, you are reduced to journalist here in the absence of journalism, proper journalism. I have to be doing your work now. Now I've got a copy now. I've got a copy now of that report. Yes, I've got a copy of that report. You don't have it. Secret report. I must be feeding you those things.
What's that Operation Checkmate?
No, the Operation Checkmate is a useless paper. It's 4 pages. I've got here in the back. I've got a proper one. And in 2 weeks' time, we'll be giving you a proper one that involves money shifting from this account to that account. Just watch the space. We're not engaged in any intelligence operation, nothing. They just come here. This office here is very powerful. When you are relaxed here, the information just comes here. Well, you must be very nice. We'll give you a scoop of monies that are moving in and out here. It's happening. It's tough. So please, the journalists, let's move. Let's move. We need you to inform society. Society can't rely on political parties. But South Africa, since journalists are disappointing you, just keep on checking my timeline there on Twitter. Yeah?
Do you have any spare copies of that bell button?
No, I've got only one copy. I will decide if these people here of the lawyers, you know them, they are the ones who are slowing us down. So they have to check if there are no serious implications so that we don't surrender ourselves and save ourselves to the dogs, because the dogs are waiting to kill us. So we have to be careful. But all of that, we know what these guys are doing. There's a lot of fabrication going on in this country. A lot of lies told deliberately in this country. You said Mbalula is going to militarize the thing. You know, I don't know if Mbalula is up to the task. Mbalula has abandoned the role of being a politician. He's a celebrity, and he's no longer interested. I think so. And even the Minister of Police, I think, it finds him at a point when he's not ready to be anything of that sort. If it was another Mbalula that I knew, then we're talking about something else. But please, whatever Mbalula is doing there, he must not introduce Mr. and Mrs. South African Police Services and those things of awards, what do you call them? Best performing awards of police, glamorous things, and then call Beyonce to come and perform for police. And you know, he must leave those things, because there is a problem of crime here. There is a serious problem of crime, particularly in Pretoria. Pretoria is extreme. You know, they steal your car in Pretoria and give you a call that your car has been stolen. If you want it, come to this place. Don't come with the police. Just bring 30,000. You'll find it. It has degenerated to that level. And therefore, you don't need a clown to go and preside over the police. You need someone with decisiveness to go and deal with those police. You know, we've reached a desperation in this country to a point where we even miss Begitel. We forgot all his problems, the things he has caused for this country. That's how desperate we are. We need someone who's going to deal with crime in a decisive manner, particularly in Pretoria. Those places of Soshanguve's, Atteridgeville, it has become an acceptable phenomenon. People no longer walk at night. They tell you, you can't do it. We cannot institutionalize crime. And let's hope Mbalula will really begin to take himself serious and stop quarreling about who took which chair at the funeral. Because I'm told he was complaining that I was sitting in the front row at Katharada's funeral. He must leave those things and become a real politician. And stop wanting to be a celebrity. He's got the potential, but he's just clownishing. He just wants to be a celebrity. He doesn't want a situation where there is a difference between him and a Stone or Oskido. He just wants to do it the way Oskido is doing them. There ought to be a difference, man. I mention Oskido because he's my friend. He won't be offended. So there ought to be a difference between Oskido and Mbalula. As things stand now, they are the same. You see? And we can't have that. That's why Mbalula, even today, is not one of the serious people considered for leadership. When you ask them, they say, but Chief, this guy has abandoned those things of being a politician. We are not looking for a celebrity. And let's hope he will get himself a serious spokesperson. Because in the police, we don't want jokes like that as a spokesperson of his. There you are communicating sensitive stuff. You don't need clownishing people, you know. Malusi has got a very wonderful spokesperson in that Maitlome, but Maitlome just wants to degenerate. He's joining a club of degeneration. You are a government communicator. You ought to carry yourself in a particular way. And sometimes you even compromise your own life because there are things we want to tweet about. There are things we want to tweet about, but you think of these members of the EFF and say, no, even if it's me, they are still going to be, undermined through my own tweets. So when you are leadership, you leave your personal feelings and lifestyles and all that and assume a life of leadership. And we hope that Mbalula is up to the task. I mean, he's a hard worker. He works very hard. When he puts his mind into something, he works for it. But he's got these elements of things that distract him. Let him just reorganize and come back to lead his people. His people want leadership from him. And we hope that he will prevail. We are more interested in crime, really, not selfies and Twitter scoreboard. What do you call it? Mbalula is the minister of Twitter. Mbalula is the minister of Instagram, showing off some fancy stuff. So I'm not interested in Malusi. I'm interested in Mbalula. The day he comes back and become himself and provide leadership, that will be the day that department will be turned around and will successfully fight crime. He must, amongst other things, Mbalula, tell this one of the Hawks. Ntlemeza. There is a court decision about you. I know you are appealing, but please take leave. Just take leave. Because you are dealing with sensitive matters of crime. And they cannot be presided over by a person who's not honorable. That's what a minister does. Including his commissioner, by the way. Plus this one is acting, the commissioner. The acting must come to an end. Let's get a proper commissioner who will not compromise the image of the police. He was getting a clean audit, by the way, Mbalula, in sports. Let him clean that department and make it work. The only minister I called is Ayanda Dlolo, because I thought her appointment brought some sanity and some sense of people now beginning to take that department serious. And I said to Ayanda, look, the only thing I'm asking from you is that leave the interim board to do its job. You don't have to vet them. No one is vetted there. Were you vetted when you were CEO? No. Was never vetted. But these are the people who are working there full time. You want to vet people who are coming on part-time basis. That's the only thing I asked her. Ayanda, she's my sister, we speak all the time. So I said to her, if you don't go on with the legacy of Faith Mutambi, you can turn that thing around and make it work for our people. Leave those things. Allow the board to do its own work and allow the board to advise you, not the other way around, so that there is sanity. And Mbalula, in dealing with those people of acting commissioner and that Hawks person, must protect McBride, the only honorable man there who wants to see work done. McBride must be protected and allowed to go after crook policemen and women. He's doing an excellent job. He needs support of political leadership. But central to his mandate is fight crime. That's what he needs to do. And service all of us as equal. He must not turn that police service into another ANC failed department. All right?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have an excellent weekend.
Union buildings.
Union building.